Okay, it's live. Okay. All right. What's up, everyone? Today I have Jill with me today, who's been a client for around 6 months now, 7 months now, right?
Yeah,
And we've achieved a bunch of stuff, but Jill, can you start by telling everyone what your background was before you actually started working with us?
sure. I had been out of the corporate world for about 5 years. Prior to becoming a personal trainer, I was a VP of finance and accounting. I had worked in New York City. I had come closer to home as the changes in my life happened. As I became a mom, I started to want to more and more get towards the life that I really wanted to live, more time for my family and for me. And so that started with the change from corporate to becoming a personal trainer. And then last March, when COVID started, and I was working at 3 different gyms, teaching 10 group fitness classes a week, training clients at the gyms and at home. And everything shut down. I also was working a Beachbody business that I had worked for about 5 years. The lifestyle was comfortable. It was a little exhausting, but I was in a groove, and then everything shut down and I lost half my income. And from March until I signed up with you in October, I have literally been teaching a couple of Facebook classes for free, having no clue what I was really going to do. My husband had gotten a promotion that May to run a financial services office in New York City. And then the day after he went down to the city for the first time, they let go of 90 managers, including my husband. So we were both kind of out of work at the same time, and I was panicking over the bills.
Okay. Geez, that's tough. So if we just backtrack, when you had quit your corporate job and you were working more in a gym setting, how many hours a week were you working?
So I was teaching 10 classes and training a few clients. It was a lot of hours. It was me constantly working my body. So it was exhausting.
Right. Did you like enjoy it, or did you always know that you wanted to go online?
I loved it. I love group fitness. The energy in a class was great, and it actually worked really well because I would put my kids on the bus and then go straight to the gym, work for an hour or two, and come home and have the rest of the day for myself and for my Beachbody business, and working from home and having the dogs here and being home for my kids. So everything was great with gym life until it all shut down. And I wasn't sure. I thought we were going to go back to the gym after a couple months. When 6 months passed and I was still wondering what was going to happen, that's when the fear started to creep in.
Right. So then with the online side of things, is that something that you had only started considering because of COVID?
I don't think I had actually considered it until I saw your Facebook ad come across my feed. I
Uh,
must have just been putting the vibes out there, like, what's next? What do I do? I had just started to finally teach my classes on an online platform, collecting money.
mhm. Right. So then can you explain the actual process um, in terms of how you found us?
Sure. I saw a Facebook ad saying that if you wanted to book a free 15-minute call, that to just click the button. And so I did. I ended up in a chat thread with you, and I immediately went through, I clicked the calendar button. I watched 500 million trainings all over pages. I was looking at lots of testimonials, and, and then I had a chat with one of your salespeople, and that was scary. It's
Mhm.
definitely scary.
Yeah, let's talk more about the process you went through, because for a lot of people, like they know what they want, which is they want to go online. And to an extent, they know that they need a bit of guidance to get there. But then for you, I mean, what was scary about it? And you spoke to us, 2 to 3 times before you kind of made the decision. What was your thought process? What was your family's, your husband's?
Yeah, I think we had 4 calls actually. I was terrified because in my head, if you tell me what to do and I do it, then I should get results. But with my other business, I kept trying all these things, thinking it was the thing. I invested in ClickFunnels and that didn't pay me $1. I invested in a website person and that cost me $3,000 or $5,000 and I didn't get anywhere with that. So I knew I needed something new and big and a huge shift to change my business and change something. I wasn't sure what it was. And at that point, I had a lot of mistrust in investment, although I had a lot of trust in myself. So I've always had faith in myself, but not faith in others. It's something I really struggle with. And so not knowing, what was going to happen. And I'm also somebody who wants to be in control and know every detail of everything. So without truly understanding what the process was, and I wasn't getting the details until I signed up, I was just very afraid of making the wrong decision. My husband has backed me in anything I ever wanted to do. And so I knew that it wasn't about him approving or anything. He just wants me to be happy, has a lot of faith in me too. But he could tell that I was afraid and that I was trying to make the right decision. So I did have him hop on subsequent calls just to validate how I was feeling and to either push me one way or another. And he wouldn't push me one way or another. He just tried to get me to figure it out on my own.
Okay. Well, then for you, in terms of figure it out on your own, what was your thought process like? Because it could have gone two ways. Like you could have thought, okay, I've, spent 3,000 on a website, spent, was it like 1,000 or 2,000 on a ClickFunnels course? Why did you think, okay, let me try this anyway, versus let's hold off, especially because you had been burned?
I felt like it was then or never. We had gotten a little cash injection from the government. I figured if there was any time when we could actually just put the cash down and take another chance, that would be it. So what was huge in the process was talking to people who had gone through your program. I searched Instagram and Facebook and found a couple of your clients and I messaged them asking them about their experiences. And I think that was what solidified that I was comfortable taking that gamble. So I think that was it. I think testimonials go a really long way for me.
Yeah. And I don't blame you, because a lot of people, they have like tried a bunch of stuff and it didn't work. Right. So, you're not wrong for feeling the way that you did. But even if we just look at your business and the position that you were in before you joined, on the online side of things, how many clients did you have and at what price point?
I had 2,000 or so clients, but I was only making maybe like $30 off of them a month or $50 one time. So it was and it's a lot of time that I was putting in and not a lot of return. So I think that was big.
Because on one hand you had Beachbody, and then on the other you wanted to not necessarily break into the high ticket space, but you had a revenue goal that you wanted to hit, and you kind of knew from watching our trainings that high ticket was the way to get there. So what were your numbers like before you started working with us?
I was able to make probably about $50,000 a year in everything that I was doing on my own.
And then if we look at after you joined, figures wise, which is what everyone wants to know, like the numbers, what is your price point? What was your biggest month? What kind of numbers are you doing now?
It was my goal. I actually had, when we signed up, I asked you if I could divide that payment down for your cost, because I needed something to race against, so that every time I made a payment, I had already made that much money. And so I did, in fact, make my investment back in the first 3 months of working with you. And that was enough to get me to reinvest. And from there, my income's gone up. So my price point, I think that, and I have to thank my mother and my grandmother for giving me so much confidence. I didn't go in at some low price point. I went in high with confidence that you would teach me everything I knew, and that even if it took a little time, that I'd get comfortable. So my price point is $2,800 for 3 months.
Mhm.
And I got some quick wins, and that was a good confidence boost. And in the last week, I actually had 2 sales that were each $4,500.
Mhm.
So it's just been incredible. I
Yeah.
think I'm finally reaching that potential that I knew I had.
Yeah, and it's been so good to see you grow as well because you've had a few five-figure months. So, for the people who are watching, do you mind sharing like what was the kind of timeline that you went through before you hit your first, 10K month or 11K month?
Mhm. I think that the $10,000 month started in January. Obviously, January is a big month for fitness professionals and our industry, but I decided to do what we call our 5-part story, which is
Mhm.
really sharing the deepest, darkest parts of yourself. And I did that the week of Christmas. And
Yeah.
so my big launch happened on January 1st or December 31st. And that was when I signed 5 clients in that first week of January and hit that first $10,000 month. And then from there, it's been creeping upwards. And so each month I've set a bigger goal. This month being 15,000, and then next month 20 to 25. I don't see any reason now why I can't do it if I put in the work. It's just going to take a little more organization now and time management. But I think also when you're in a good place, more doors start to open. And so I've had other opportunities come along with even in person. I started a new job today that should be an extra 50,000 a year. And so I think that that's helped, and that you helped me really get the ball rolling, but gave me a lot of new skills that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to get.
Yeah, I think one thing that we've really seen you grow was definitely the mindset aspect on top of the strategy, because sometimes it's easy for us to almost like get into a habit of stressing over things more than we need to. So from your side, I mean, that's been really good to see your progression in terms of just relaxing a bit more and learning to trust the process a bit more as well. And even in January, you had your first, 10, 11K month, but then in Feb, things still worked out, right?
Mhm.
And you
Yeah,
ended around the same, and same with March. So you're
yeah.
consistently cruising a bit above that 10K mark. What kind of things were you able to then do with that new lifestyle or that?
Well, so I am taking a group of ladies to the Bahamas in May. So that's been on my dream board. I've been very excited to do that. I'll be leading a trip, a fitness trip and yoga trip to Italy next year.
Uh,
Uh, and I also start my golf league next week, which are all things that have been on my dream board for the last several years. And I'm just ticking things off, and now I got to replace them and find new things.
mm,
It's always been important for me to give back to my parents and my in-laws. So I'm actually taking my father-in-law golfing on Wednesday. He and I have really had a lot of time to spend time together. And I employed my dad as my email marketing person. And, I'm able to give him and my mom money as well. Um, and give my kids everything that they want, and hopefully also I think take some pressure off of my husband, um, who had a lot of pressure when I left the corporate world to earn more. And instead of him worrying, he's actually taken the role of travel soccer for 8-year-olds coach, starting in the fall. And so I think that's something that he and I will be able to do together. And he'll be able to leave work and be at the soccer field with our son, our younger son, and make that commitment, not having to worry.
I mean, has he said much since he's kind of seen you grow the past 6 months?
He doesn't say a lot. He gets excited when I call him, I just tell him about, my wins. He definitely
Yeah.
gets excited. And he's proud. So
Do you tell your
yeah.
kids?
Oh yeah. They ask for money. They ask for 10%. They want to cut.
That's so funny. That's amazing to see that you're able to actually, do something with the money as well. And one thing that a lot of people are probably wondering is how many hours are you working these days? Because sometimes we have people who, they want to make 5 figures a month working, 4 hours a week. And other people, they want to be full-time hustling still as if it's their full-time job. So for you, where are you on that spectrum?
Yeah, well, I just started a new routine this morning, waking up at 5 a.m. So even though I have a lot of freedom and whatnot, I'm a product of my parents, and that means you work hard to get you what you want, but you also take that time. So what's been incredible is that every month this year, I've taken about a week off, whether it was traveling to see my best friend or traveling to see my parents, taking a weekend away with my husband, or having my parents come visit here. We have, again, the Bahamas next month, making sure that I'm taking chunks of time. But for the most part, my day, I wake up and I go, go, go.
Yeah.
I try to do as much as I can, and I fill every minute because I can never get everything done. And so I fill every minute until my kids get off that bus. And then I try to give them devoted, undivided attention so that we have our time. But then there's nights when I'm still working. I didn't go to bed until 11:30 last night because I was setting up all of my clients for this week, making sure they were all set. So to me, when you're doing what you love, it doesn't necessarily feel like work. It's work I love. But I will be taking, being in a golf league where I'm golfing 18 holes every Wednesday. And that's a good 5-hour commitment. And I think they do lunch afterwards too. But to me, it's fun time, it's me time, but it's also opportunity time because there's going to be 40 other women in that league who I can, network with. I try to always, do multitask and
Yeah.
make my life and my enjoyment my business too. So I do work constantly, but I also, my kids have sports, so I take them to all their practices. I'm at all their games. And I try to get a good balance of both me and work time, but I do work very hard.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Sometimes people like see the numbers that certain coaches do on the outside, and they kind of like assume that it's going to be easy, and that just because it's an online business, it's going to take like, 2 hours a day where they literally just work for 2 hours and then have fun and
Mhm.
live on the beach for the other 22 hours. But
Okay.
it's not really like that at all, because behind the scenes there are, there is work that you're going to have to put in. So if we look at your business, what is the kind of infrastructure of, the behind the scenes of a, 10, 15K a month business? Have you got an
Oh my
assistant
God.
or like team
A
members?
hot mess. Life is a hot mess. I mean, I am about to hire an assistant. I told you earlier, I need an assistant
Yeah.
to help me hire an assistant. But
Mm.
that, I think, is the power of having masterminds and networking, is that I've got networks of people working for me, and masterminding with me, and I help them and they help me. And even people who I've met in your program, I check in with every single day. And, and we help each other. And that's been amazing too, is when you join anything with in the right place with the right people, you're
Mhm.
going to meet more of the right people and have that help. So there's things that, I called the lawn service on Friday, and I called them again today because I'm starting to panic. I'll go
Yeah.
out there and do the lawn myself if they don't call me back soon. But I realize that there's things that I do that I shouldn't be doing anymore.
Yeah.
And taking some of those things off my plate. My husband does the laundry, and, and I need some new things and new ways of doing things. So I think that it's always fluid, it's never a set thing. You got to keep figuring it out.
Yeah, I agree. With that, what's the kind of next level goal for you now that you've seen
Next
what's
level.
possible over the past 6 months?
Next level would be to hire and somehow do your trainings on how to duplicate. I mean, I think it's always about figuring out a system and then duplicating.
Uh,
And so, I really enjoy mentoring. I have a team of coaches who I mentor through Beachbody, and that's why I still do Beachbody, because it brings me so much joy in that mentorship, and I am not there yet with this business. So to be able to mentor other fitness professionals, that would be amazing. Starting with one of my best friends who I brought into the program is, you know, I really enjoy teaching. And so to be able to duplicate my business, but I never really want to take it to a place where I'm sacrificing that time that I have. My parents said something about me going on TV. They're like, you should be on a TV show. I'm like, no, I don't want to be involved in TV. I don't want to be in that world. I don't want to be, you know, tied to anybody else that giving me hours. I like having the freedom. So figuring out a way to continue to earn without sacrificing the joys and the time. My new client is a multimillionaire. And if I learned anything from him this morning, I wrote down in my journal that if you have all the money in the world, it doesn't matter if you're not spending it on the things and the people and the experiences that you love. So I don't want to get back to a place of stress. So that's going to be something to figure out is, you know, how much do we need realistically? What will it do for us and for others? And how can I maintain that balance? That's as far as I want to take it.
Yeah, I love that. I was actually going to ask you, what do you think is the biggest advice that you can give? But I guess you kind of answered that, right? It's, you want to find the balance between bringing enough money so that you have that freedom, but also not sacrificing your time, and not so that that financial freedom is at the expense of your quality of life, which is so true. And it's definitely something that I've experienced too. So I'm going to slightly rephrase the question. What advice do you have for people who are starting out in a similar position as you were?
I'd say that you have to take messy action. I think that's the thing that got me the most results in your program, is doing before you learn everything. I'm sure there's still trainings I haven't done, but following your gut. I think what really struck me was that I cried on my first call, my 15-minute call, which probably ended up being 45 minutes, because it really hit me so hard that I didn't want to stay in that same place, and that I wanted change enough to try something and keep trying the wrong things. And it doesn't matter how many wrong things you do, you'll somehow, some way get to where you should be. And I think that being okay with failing and falling on your face and just getting back up, it strengthens you, and you can't let anything deter you from your goals. You just have to keep pushing forward and taking action.
I love that. Do you have any words for people who are maybe on the fence? Like maybe they've watched our stuff and they know they need help, but they're not quite sure, or they have a bit of fear going on. I mean, what advice would you have for them?
Say, get in touch with me. I'll push you over the edge.
Where can people kind of check you out and see the cool stuff that you're doing?
Where?
Yeah. What's your Instagram handle and Facebook?
Jill Ortiz 21 on Instagram, Jill Sacco Love Ortiz on Facebook, and my website, jillortizfitness.com. Reach out.
Love it. All right, guys, make sure you check Jill out. Jill, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I'll see you guys soon. Perfect. Cool.